All right, guys. Hey, I want to take a few minutes and just thank Charles Fix and his buddies, Alan and Rolly and the other guys that helped on the concrete. It turned out fantastic, excellent, perfecto. And Billy and Dusty and the rest of the guys from Craft Construction for doing a good job on the building, and then Ray for the heating work, and Anderson's Electric for the electrical work, and then Dennis, Riser. You local people, Riser. He's a character. He's kind of funny. He even pulled he got a couple on me, in jokes, but he did the plumbing in the bathroom before the concrete was poured. He got the plumbing all routed, so then when we poured the floor, all we had to do was, he just then came back and cut the pipes and stuff. The concrete, I am so proud of how nice this concrete turned out. I did not do the concrete work. We did the subgrade. I'm good at subgrade. I'm not good at flat concrete. That's why professionals who do flat concrete are good at flat concrete. And that's who we went with, Charles and his other union buddies from the cities. And then it was professional finishers that did the finish work. It wasn't just some concrete guys. They're like, yeah, I know how to run a hand trowel, and almost a garden trowel. But no, they did a fantastic job. Been around here. So we poured it that day. These guys are used to 800-yard pours in a day, so 85 yards was just a day off. Had the pump truck show up. Cement trucks were in the yard. They pumped and just squirted around, and the guys right away got on the vibro. They had the 15-foot vibro, and so we're from the wall, we're 15 feet out flat, and then the next 15 feet to center line was at a few inches of fall. And so they start vibro screeding, and the guys are raking the mud and working the mud. The concrete below, so I got the subgrade done, and so we got a few feet of crushed concrete, and that way there's no way water can ever sit in that to get below this floor. So even if we lost heat for a winter, there's zero way for frost to move this floor, zero. And then on top of that, we got a little bit of recycle, some conbit, crushed concrete and bituminous or asphalt, got a foot of that, and then pounded the hell out of both of them layers. I had a local contractor. He's an older guy, Stransky's Construction, and so I thought he would enjoy that I was using an eye level to set my grade, and he just shakes his head like, who uses an eye level in 2021? And I'm like, me, because that's what I can afford. That's a tool I'm used to using to set grade. If it's good enough for DOT, it's good enough for here. And he's just like, wow, that okay, kind of impressive. But he still laughed at it. And while he had his dump truck here, several times I had him back onto the grade to dump, and I said, you check your roll test. And so when we were on highway projects and stuff, you'd have the dump truck back on the grade, and if they just sank just a whisker, left some impressions, it's like good enough, more than compacted. And he backed on with a loaded truck, and he turned sharp, hardly left a wheel mark other than the dust on top. If you took a leaf blower, you could erase the evidence that loaded truck even turned on that subgrade. And he laughed. He's like, that is solid. That is solid. And so then the guys came, they put the poly down, and then we put benches down. We got the rebar on 2-foot centers sitting on top of the benches, and then on top of the rebar, we've got the concrete mesh. So we know everything is right in the center of floor where it's supposed to be. And then they poured the concrete, and then they screeded it off, and then behind that, the guys started finishing by hand the perimeter. Then we had some hot dogs, and then the finishers, they started testing it with their thumbs, and then pretty soon they're starting to walk on it a little bit, and it's fun watching the camaraderie of guys that work together, And then pretty soon, oh, this spot over here, let's get one of the 4-foot, the walk behind power trowels on it and touch that spot up and then shut it down. Check some more, and then oh, pretty soon this spot over here. So we got the second power trowel here, and shut it down and kind of check, and within another hour or so, pretty soon both of them machines are just going to town over the whole floor. And then a little while later, we got the big ride on the twin fan, and he had hit an area, stop, check, hit an area, stop. Like you know, it's neat watching people who are really good at their craft. It's interesting watching how they're checking stuff and looking and finishing, and they finish it. They blackened a lot of the concrete, and so what we did to prevent people slipping and falling is we use a product called Shark Bite into the sealant on the concrete. But then that night after the finishers left, and Charles and one of the guys stayed behind, we got the lines snapped for where we want the saw joints, and then just waited. And it was like 10:30 that night. We parked the Massey back here and adjusted the headlights to light up the whole floor, so then they could saw cut these lines, and it turned out perfect. There's some little stress fractures. You get them little tiny hairline fractures but there's no cracks in this floor. And for concrete, that's not always easy to say. No matter how good of a job you do, concrete can crack. And but no, I think Zach just scared me there. I think he just bit a fly. He catches flies in the air. But it turned out perfect. And then Ted's guys came out and they got the red iron up. And same thing. It's fun to watch them fuss over little stuff. We could have went with a company, out-of-town company, that never has to really look at the building again. And when Dad goes up for coffee in the morning, or you go uptown and people ask you how the shop is doing, if it's a company out of town and you're like, we're kind of disappointed it's not as efficient, or this needs touching up, or they really did kind of a crappy job on the tin finish. Like nobody, oh yeah, sorry about that. But if it's a local guy and you're like, we were hoping a little better finish on this or that local guy has to live with that every day. And so they were here, and Dusty and Billy did a great job of just they got all the red iron up, and then so all the red iron, you got your big frames, and then you got your purlins, and they got all that stuff up, and then had to go around and square it up, and that's where your X's come into play, and it pulls the building square and square and square. You got this way, and this way, and so it took a while just to square the building up, and then they got the sheeting and the gutters, and it was just nice to see them again on some of the stuff take that extra couple minutes to just do a really good job. Same with Anderson's Electric, Luke and Doug. Doug's the dad. He's been here for a lot of years, and Luke's a smart young man, hardworking guy, and you just tell them, here's how we want this to be, or how we want it to function. They're like, yep, here's what we think how we'll set stuff up. Here's your two options of how we'll set stuff up, and you're like, perfect. We'll take A here and B over here, and that went really well. And the infrared heating on this floor works fantastic. We went with infrared, one, because of cost over the PEX tubing in the floor, and also infrared starts heating equipment the second you bring it in, where the in-floor heat does not. And this building is beyond efficient. So if I shoot that floor right at the bottom of the wall, it's 71 degrees. If I go up 4 feet on the wall, it's already 73 degrees. And if I go to the ceiling, it's 73 degrees. That is efficient. We put that 6-foot fan up there, a big industrial fan, and that does a great job to just roll the air a little bit. We still got to work on a ventilation system for this coming winter. Everything's working out fantastic. The sheet metal is from the gray shed that used to be here. So my brothers and my wife and dad did all of this stuff. And so we got a nice little office. And that post and the posts outside the stairs are from Dad and Grandpa's. They'd be from a building that Dad saved from when Grandpa took buildings down. Nice bathroom. This is our own pine wood that we had another local guy turn into planks for us. And then Dad had one of Grandpa's old horse things made into a mirror. And then we got the shower. We still got to get the hot pressure washer because it's got this magnetic dust. It's kind of funny, but we got to give that a hot pressure soaking. But that's come along beautiful. And then so then they built the stairwell. We got to get a mat down here so we can clean the stairs up. They're starting to get dirty. And then the 2x4 and 2x6 all came from the old gray shed as well. And so the wife worked hard on getting that up here, and my brother, he worked hard at helping frame all this stuff up. And Dad's making the little railing that goes along because he likes that kind of stuff. And so we're starting to get some part storage moved up here. We got a lot of work to do on storage up here. This is for jobs coming in. And so on these little projects, we can get, a starter for a guy. So then, hey, we got a break coming up tomorrow. Can you bring your tractor over and we can just pop that starter in quick and get them in and out. These bigger projects, it just takes a lot more time. Parts of the guys behind the parts counter have been working very hard, but things just are slower nowadays. You just don't get the turnaround time that we should be getting. But it is what it is. And so, nope, this shop, I don't know. We're getting a little long here on wind, but I just wanted to just give a big thank you. And for you guys that aren't local, kind of an introduction to some of the local guys that every once in a while you got the village idiot to deal with, and we're going to talk about that in another video. But when you're surrounded by just good, honest people, you get good, honest results. And so, yeah, I think I'll leave you guys at that. And I appreciate you watching and coming along on this journey with us. It's like I said, for 27 years, it's like, we need to do this. And we finally did it.